Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Ki. Hare Krishna. So the verse is. I guess I speak English, right? Ich spreche Englisch heute, ne? Looks, huh? Yeah. Oh, he has it because he has to still write. You didn't start the verse? Oh, I will wait. It's okay. So, Hare Krishna. So, yeah. Welcome to our class today on. Okay. as you like. Our class in regards to the appearance day of Krishna. Today is Janmashtami. Janmashtami is refers to the 8th day when Krishna appeared. On the 8th day in the lunar calendar. It was the 8th day. And he was the 8th child of Devaki. And this is also, there's a secret behind who are Krishna's parents, because as we know, actually parents are not Devaki and Vasudev, but Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Yeah, but this is not known to everyone. This is revealed by the Acharyas. Also some hints in scriptures. And this is important because this shows that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna in Vrindavan. Krishna in Vrindavan. Vrindavan Chandra. So Krishna is also called Vrindavan Chandra, the moon of Vrindavan. And so the focus of our tradition, Gaudiya tradition, which is very, very special. There are so many traditions. There are so many Vedic traditions or Neo-Vedic traditions coming from India. It's actually a huge assembly of philosophies and all that. But even in this huge variety of different views on life, which comes from India, there is a particular tradition or particular group, which are the Vaishnavas. And even amongst the Vaishnavas, there are so many different groups, actually, so many different traditions. And among all these Vaishnava traditions, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tradition, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, this is our line. And this gives a very special gift, actually a very special gift of spirituality, which is about having a very loving, personal relationship with God. And of course we know God is Krishna. We don't have to go into the proof of that. So, and what is interesting in Krishna is that he appeared in this material world in human society. This is called avatar. Avatar means the descent of the divinity, personal divinity, from the Paravyoma. It's called Paravyoma, the spiritual world, the spiritual sky, into the material sphere. This is called avatar. And there are many avatars. Some don't appear in human society. Some appear amongst the demigods. Thank you. Like Upendra, Vamana. Vamana appeared amongst the demigods. Vamana is the Upendra, the small brother of Indra. And even Indra said, oh, he's my small brother. I like him very much. Yeah, it's the small brother of Indra. He appeared amongst the demigods. Or Narada Muni. Yeah, he appeared as a sage. He's an avatar of Krishna. Of course, Shakti-Avish avatar. So, but some, and many avatars appear amongst animals, animal forms. And some appear in human society. Some appear in human society, like Ramachandra also. So Krishna appeared in human society, which gives a big advantage for humans, because he's very relatable. This is actually the specialty about Krishna, that he is, as he is appearing as a human, he's very relatable. Especially in the form of in a personal relationship. It's easy to have, for humans it's very easy to have a relationship with a human. It's very easy. Yeah, okay, it's not so easy, of course. There might become, some problems might be involved, but it's, in one sense, it's easy. The relationship doesn't have to be so loving, maybe this aspect, but just to have a relationship, I can talk with a human, we can have some exchange, I can see him and all that. And it's not so, yeah, okay, this is also maybe a question of debate. If I say now it's not so easy to have a relationship to non-humans like animals. For some people it's easier to have a relationship with an animal than to a human. But this is actually just because of their own lack of self-understanding and the disability to have loving relationships. But in general, actually, it's easy if we are to some degree normal, which is of course not the norm in Kali Yuga, but let's say from a more objective point of view, the normal, it's easy to have a relationship and loving relationship with another human. It's very natural. It's very natural to love your parents, to love your wife, to love your child. It's very natural. You don't have to force it. Actually, it's not. You don't have to force it to love someone. And of course you can love your animal also, but the relationship doesn't go so far. How much loving, personal relationship can you have with your guinea pig? You know, how much can you have deep discussions? Yeah. Do you have a guinea pig? I didn't know. New? What's his name? Oh, you used to have. The what? The black ones, and they didn't stink. Okay, you put some deo on them. So anyway, but of course, it's the relationship doesn't go so far. It's not so fulfilling. But within human, if we are to some degree normal, and if we are capable of relationship, and there's love involved, it's very easy and it's very fulfilling. It's very fulfilling to have a personal, very loving relationship with another human, be it your friend, your wife, your child, your parents. A person whom you can love and trust and you can talk to and reveal your mind and all that. It's very fulfilling. Right? So Krishna comes now as an human. And it's not offensive to say that. Shastra says he comes as a human. Manushya Rupam. In a human form. And it's even said Narakriti. The one who acts like a human. He does that in one sense on purpose, and from another point of view, he doesn't have to change in one sense anything, because the Supreme Person is, in that sense, human. Yeah? It's not just that I come in human society and I pretend to be a human. In one sense, he is a human, but a spiritual human, the divine human. Right? The Supreme Person is in that sense human. This is what's happening in the spiritual world too. So, but the point is, he comes into human society, acts as a human, and this makes him very relatable. Normally, it's very, very difficult to have a relationship or have a realization about transcendence. Let's say like this. We know from Bhagavad Gita, we have to have a relationship with transcendence. We have to be spiritual in order to go to the spiritual world, to leave the material world, to dissolve your karma, all that. And we know there are different approaches to that, and some are more, in one sense, you need to be austere, you need to meditate, you need to know Shastra and all that. It's very complicated. It's actually very complicated. It's the highest achievement to get free from the material world. But with Krishna, it's very easy. And this is why Shastra celebrates so much this mercy of Krishna, that he says, I come as one of you, and you just love me as you love any other one. And this is also recognized by Parikshit Maharaj when he says, how was it possible that the village girls who were not scholars, they were not yogis, they were not austere, all that, they were not going this path of renunciation, Apavarga, it's called, Apavarga, the path of liberation. They were not doing the normal thing, what someone does who wants to get free of material world and take sannyas and all that. They were just village girls, and they went to the supreme reality. How is this possible? He was amazed. And then Shukadev Goswami explains, because need all that, renunciation, meditation, and tapas, and all that. This is for those who don't love Krishna. And Arjuna asks this also in the Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning of the 12th chapter. What is better now? To become free, to worship the impersonal, the unmanifested, or to worship and love you? It's very explicit there in the Bhagavad Gita. This discussion about what is the supreme, is it personal, is it impersonal? Actually, it's just not a very important discussion. It's very clear in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says it. You can worship the impersonal, the unmanifest, the all-pervading. Yes, you can do that. But it's very difficult. And in the end, you will come to me. Yes, but it's very difficult. And he said, better you worship me. You love me? as you do already, Arjuna. This is perfect. Yeah. So, and this was the speciality of these village girls, of the gopis, that they had this most intense love for Krishna. Most intense love for Krishna, which put them in the perfect position. And not just the village girls, all the village people, the Brajvasis, they had this relationship with Krishna without knowing that he is God. It was not necessary. They just loved him as one of theirs. And our Acharyas explains, this we have to do also. If you want to become, if you want to get bhakti, prema, whatever, yeah, just follow the footsteps of those devotees. Do as they did. Love Krishna as they did. As your friend, as your lover, as your child. Love them, love him as they did, and this is the perfection. And this is actually very easy. Of course, we would think, oh, this is very, very advanced, right? This is now we have to go to purification and vidis, the rules and regulations of bhakti yoga. Yes, this should be just a short phase in the beginning of our spiritual life to get free from all our gross anarthas, misunderstandings, and misconceptions about life in general, that we don't know what we want, that we don't know what we should want. This should get cleared in the beginning through sambandha. Sambandha means to have the basic understanding of the spiritual practice. So you read Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavatam, then it should become very clear, oh, Krishna is most wonderful and great. This is Maya, material world, this is not great. In order to get free from Maya, follow 4 regulative principles, and chant 16 rounds, and that's it. And now Krishna Bhakti. What else, what more do you want? But because we are so attached, we need so long until we can come to the single attention towards Krishna. When Krishna says, only think of me. Because we are so attached to the material world, so this actually preliminary phase of purification takes for us very long, because we are messed up. We are so messed up with material attachments and our dramas and our stuff, just attachment in a positive and negative way. Attachment means I want that or I hate that, but I hate that is also attachment. It's also attachment. You are attached to hate someone, you are attached to negativity. Attachment means you are obsessed by it. It bothers you. It's somehow an issue. This means attachment. So because we are messed up, it takes a long time until we kind of free from this karma, these attachments, this maya, that we can actually engage in devotional service. So, but if this is cleared and we don't have any distractions anymore, we can completely focus on Krishna. And this is what Prabhupada gave us. Right in the beginning, he gave the Krishna book. Prabhupada says in the beginning of Bhagavatam, 10th canto you have to read after the first 9 cantos. And then he gives the neophytes who have no clue about anything the 10th canto. Of course in form of Krishna book. It's different. But still, it is that. Why? Because this is what makes us Krishna conscious. Because it's all about Krishna. And Prabhupada says, if you read this Krishna book, this one book, you will get love of Krishna. You will get that what we are talking about here. Prabhupada made it very easy. Very easy. So we just, perfection is already there. We just have to take it. Krishna is always offering it. Prabhupada is always, here, take it. But we don't take it. This is the problem. This is actually the only problem. We don't have to do anything else. We just have to take Krishna now. But we don't take him. Or isn't it? It's just like that. We just have to take Krishna. Means chant Hare Krishna, hear about Krishna, think about Krishna. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. These 3 things actually are called Bhagavad Vidhi. This is Bhagavad Vidhi. This is the main path towards Krishna. Hear about Krishna, chant about Krishna, think about Krishna. Do that and you get bhakti very quickly. Prema very quickly. But we don't do it. So it's our problem. It's not Krishna's problem. Of course it's Krishna's problem because he loves us. And he's like, man, what are you doing? I would like to have you in my association, but you are wasting time. You're spacing out. Because you're wasting your life. So all the problems we have are just self-made, right? Self-made. Homemade. Good. So this is this great mercy of Krishna's appearance, because he's so relatable. It's so easy to love him because he's so wonderful and great and endearing. We just have to hear about him. And now we will nonetheless read this verse, which is now in the line of our daily Bhagavatam recitation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, the Status Quo, Chapter 27, Understanding Material Nature, Text 17. Devahutir Uvacha Purusham Prakritir Brahman Na Vimunchati Karhichit Anyonya Pashrayatvacha Nityatvad Anayo Prabhu. Okay. Someone? Devahutiruvacha
Purusham Prakritir Brahman Purusham Prakritir Brahman Navimunchati Karhichit Anyonya Pashrayat Vatscha Nityatvad Anayo Prabhu Devahutiruvacha Purusham Prakritir Brahman Navimunchati Karhichit Anyonya Parayat Vatscha Nityatvad Anayo Prabhu.
Mataji's? Nityatvadanayo. Devahuti Uvacha. Devahuti said, Purusham, the spirit soul, Prakriti, material nature, Brahman, O Brahmana, Na, not, Vimunchati, thus release, Karhichit, at any time, Anyonya, to one another, Apashrayatvat, from attraction, Cha, and Nityatvat, from eternality, Anayo, of them both, Prabhu, O my Lord. Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? Purport. Devahuti, the mother of Kapila-dev, here makes her first inquiry. Although one may understand that spirit, soul and matter are different, their actual separation is not possible, either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding. The spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, and matter is the external potency of the Lord. The two eternal potencies have somehow or other been combined, and since it is so difficult to separate one from the other, how is it possible for the individual soul to become liberated? By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. And when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot perceive the existence of the soul. As long as the soul and the body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there is no manifested existence of the body or the soul. This question asked by Devahuti of Kapiladev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of voidism. The voidists say that consciousness is a product of a combination of matter, and that as soon as the consciousness is gone, the material combination dissolves, and therefore there's ultimately nothing but voidism, voidness. This absence of consciousness is called nirvana in Mayavad philosophy. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-salakaya Chakshumilitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Mukam karoti vachalam pangung langaya tegirim yat kripa tam ahang vande Shri Gurun dinataranam. Shri Chaitanya manobistam stapidam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swavanandikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, now we go a bit into the pastime of Krishna. Yeah, as I said before, we have to hear about Krishna, and we have to hear about his wonderful qualities, so that we become conscious of him, and in the end we should get absorbed in Krishna. Right? We should be absorbed, meaning completely. Krishna should be completely in our consciousness. We should forget anything else. Absorption means that we forget anything else. We forget time and space. Sometimes we have this experience when we are doing something, hearing something, even materialists sometimes they do something and they forget their surroundings. They get completely absorbed with this one thing, right? And if you are maybe in a conversation and you forget time and space, sometimes we had that. We had a discussion or a conversation with someone and time passes quickly and you forget anything else. Completely conscious about that, absorbed. Or when you read something or watch a movie. Movies do that also. They have this effect. Or if you go to the theater, or in another activity, some activity might be able to do that. So on this, we have to do with Krishna. We have to do that with Krishna. We have to forget anything else when we are hearing about Krishna. We have to forget time and space. Be completely absorbed. The mind, of course, wants to wander here and there, but it's possible. Yeah. So we want to be absorbed in Krishna, in his world actually. And this world is communicated by the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam tells us about Krishna and his world. And we want to get absorbed in that so much that we are more or less, of course this is the path of the very advanced devotee, but that we live in this world. And we have acharyas who were living in this world. One example comes to mind of King Kulasheka, who was a great king, but also one of the Alvas. There's actually controversy because, some say there was another Alva who was this Kulasheka, but anyway, with these ancient stories, it's always very difficult to see what was really happening. But still, it's told that Kulasheka from South India was a great Ram Bhakta. And he was listening to the Ramayana always. At the same time, he was a king, but still he was a very pious king, and the Brahmanas were reciting. He was listening to the Ramayana recited by the Brahmanas in his court. All the time. And he was so interested. It was not, my sadhana, I have to do it. No, he was, I want to hear about my Lord Ram. What was he doing? And he listened to it over and over again. Of course, it's a big literature still. It was going on and on and on. And he got completely absorbed that that was the reality for him. The world of Ramachandra, the story of the Ramayana. This was reality for him. And one day when he heard about that Ram was forming his army, his monkey army actually, to go to Lanka, to fight Ravana. The king jumped from his throne and said, "My generals, get the army!" And they were like, what's with him? Get the army immediately! We have to go to Lanka! to fight for our Lord Ram. He's attacking now. He needs us. And the general said, they couldn't say anything actually. And they did. It said in the story that they did. They formed the army and marched towards Lanka. They did. I don't know if they were so convinced as he, but they did. And then he came to the shore, and even the king went into the water. He said, now we have to go. He was almost drowning already until they got him out and he came out of his Leela, right? And the same we know from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the description in the, that's why the Chaitanya Charitamrita is so important and celebrated, because it gives us information which we would not have otherwise. We have many biographies about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but most of them were focusing more on the earlier pastimes and until sannyas, but the later pastimes in Puri, in where Mahaprabhu went into his great ecstasies, they were not documented. So Krishnadas Kaviraj was doing that. And there we hear also the other side. With Kulasheka's story, we just hear that what we can observe. But Krishnadas Kaviraj somehow rather tells us more in regards to such an effect that some devotee gets absorbed. Because we hear many times that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from our point of view, he was in his ecstasy, he was unconscious, or he was seeing things which are not really there, or interpreted things in another way, like the sand dune on the beach in Jagannath Puri, he saw as Govardhan hill, or sometimes he saw the Ganga as Yamuna, things like that. But then it's also explained how he perceived it, because he told it when once he was woken, gotten out of his ecstasy, when he was, oh, I'm with Radha Krishna and all that, and then devotees actually was not conscious. He was not conscious, and devotees were wakening up, and he came to, as we say, external consciousness. And then he was chastising the devotees. Why have you got me out? I was in Vrindavan. And I was picking flowers for Radha Krishna. How can you bring me back here? So that the devotee is actually not experiencing the spirituality. He perceived spirituality. He was in the spirituality. Well, sometimes we hear that devotees, they go in their spiritual form in the spiritual world through their meditation, in their japa. Very often we hear that our acharyas did like that. It was that they were there. So that's very high, of course. This is like supreme, best way of absorption. But we should get also absorbed. We might not get that absorbed immediately, but still we can be very absorbed in the pastime, in these descriptions. Yeah, more and more. And to take this as more important. We want to, sometimes we have a plan in this material world. Oh, I want to get so much money, I want to have this job, I want to get a house, I want to build my house and all that. But actually, we should build our house in Vrindavan. Why should we build a house here to have one of these nice houses like all these Bavarian guys want to live there next to the Bavarian guy? What's the use? Very soon, you will be gone. And Prabhupada says, then you get born again as a mouse in your house. Just sit in your house. Oh, I have a very nice house. I'll build it now. Yeah. Oh, it's so big now. Yeah. But what's the use? So we want to build our house in Vrindavan through our spiritual life, through our practice. We should invest into eternity. And that's what we do when we hear about Krishna. So Krishna's Leela is very big. Yeah, the Srimad Bhagavatam tells, but not just the Bhagavatam. Many other texts talk about Krishna's pastime, about that what happened 5,000 years ago when Krishna descended. Bhagavatam, then you have also Vishnu Purana, which extensively speak about Krishna's pastimes, and Harivamsa Purana, and of course then all our acharyas. So we have lots of information about Krishna, and especially about the Bhauma Leela. We have to distinguish between Bhauma Leela and Nitya Leela, or it's called Prakata and Aprakata, the manifested, unmanifested. And they are a little bit different. They are very similar, but still a bit different. Bhauma Leela is when Krishna comes in this material world, with his entourage, with his world, with his pastime, but it's a bit adapted towards the material world. And in that sense, it's a bit different than the Leela in the spiritual world. So we have two Krishna Leelas in that sense. And actually the Acharyas say that the Bhauma Leela, the Leela in the material world, is more attractive even. As example, you have something in the Bhauma Leela, what you don't have in the Nitya Leela is that Krishna was a baby. Because Prabhupada says in the spiritual world, Krishna is eternally Kishore, or Kaishore, youthful, 16 years old. This is his eternal form. But when he was here, he appeared also as a baby, without losing his power. It's not that he was vulnerable like a baby. Even though Yashoda Ma thought like that, and she was really worried all the time about him. She loved him as her child. Yeah, and there were so many terrible situations for her. And when you read in the Bhagavatam, sometimes we think, oh, Krishna Leela, it's so sweet, it's so wonderful, it's so nice. Actually, it's very dramatic. And it's an up and down of sorrow and happiness. Yeah. And yesterday we had a discussion on this Leela of Trinavarta, when Trinavarta appeared. And it's very interesting because Mother Yashoda was holding Krishna. She was just holding him, and he was a baby. He was 1 year old. And 1 year old baby is not heavy, right? It's not heavy. You know, we have a couple of babies who are kind of in this age. Huh? So she was holding her Krishna, and it said she fondled him. Naturally, if you have a baby in your arms, you have to fondle it. It's made for that. You have to do like that. And it looks, it's just nice, huh? So, and Mother Yashoda, who is the personification of motherhood and motherly love, is in this is the perfect constellation of motherhood and childhood. This is the ideal. This is where we have to orient. This is what mothers should aspire for. They should pray, oh, Mother Yashoda, please give me blessings to be a good mother. And the father should pray to Nanda Maharaj, please bless me to be a good father. You cannot be better than them, but you need the blessings of them. So Mother Yashoda was holding little Krishna, fondling him, and was completely in bliss. Was completely in bliss with him, in ecstasy. Oh, my Krishna. And suddenly Krishna became very, very heavy. Right? He became very heavy. And she was shocked. If you hold a small child in your hand and suddenly becomes heavy and heavy and heavier, you wonder what's going on. And that's this is what Krishna was doing. He became heavy. He made himself heavy. And he became so heavy that she had to put him on the ground. In Bhagavatam it said he became as heavy as a mountain tip. Maybe just a small mountain, but still. Mountain tip, like the high point of a mountain. If you just take that, I don't know, depends how big it is, but it's heavy. How can you hold a mountain point? Huh? So he was so heavy, she was actually very bewildered. Every one of us would be. And she had to put him on the floor, on the ground. She was in the courtyard of her house, and she just put him there. And she couldn't lift him up anymore. And she was helpless. So what was she doing as a good, it's said also sati, she's sati, meaning she's a very chaste and religious woman. She immediately got the brahmanas to help out. Because she thought maybe there's a spell of some demon. What else can it be? What else? It must be some supernatural demonic power here involved. And she got the brahmanas to speak some mantras or counteract this situation. And then in the Bhagavatam, it's very interesting, then it said when she got the brahmanas who were then involved with little baby Krishna, was 1 year old and was sitting there. Krishna was just sitting there. I don't know what was he doing. He was just thinking, what are you doing? Yeah, he was just sitting there. She went back into the house to do some household duties. And when I read that, I thought, this must be some very important household duties. To let your boy alone out there. Okay, I go now, right? I go now. You brahmanas are there, you take care, it's good. No? So somehow or other, she went back to the house. But I will say some point why she was doing it actually. Because in the beginning, what would you do as a parent? You would stand there and wait what the brahmanas are doing, what's happening. Yeah? But she had faith in the brahmanas and she went back to the house to do something. And suddenly, in this situation, a huge storm came. And it was a gigantic storm which blew up all the dust from Vrindavan. And it was so heavy that you couldn't see anything anymore. It was foggy, cloudy because of all the dust which was blowing through the air. Because this was not a normal storm. It was a demon, an Asura, who took on the form of a storm, of a whirlwind, we say, or tornado, or something like that. Huh? And it was so strong that it blew through Vrindavan, and everyone was running here and there and was shocked. Right? Tornadoes can be very dangerous, deadly. So we don't have this experience here in Germany. There are not really such storms. But in other parts of the world, every year they go through, especially we know from the south of America, and through these islands, Haiti and Tahiti and Dominican Republic, they go through and they destroy everything, right? It's a big catastrophe. And every year it's happening because of some climatic situation. And when this storm goes through, it's so strong it can take up cars flying through the sky. Houses destroyed, the roofs of the houses, people flying through the sky. It's amazing. It's very dangerous. Or this is dangerous. And it brings also floods. And the whole area is flooded. So the demon who came, his name was Trinavarta, and he was a very powerful demon. He could take the form of this storm and create havoc in Vrindavan. And why was he coming actually? Why was he flying through? Because he was encouraged by Kamsa. Kamsa is the mega main villain in the story. He's the villain, especially in the early part of Krishna's pastime. There he's like the anti-hero, counterpart, the villain. And so far he did not know where Krishna was. He knew the child of my sister, actually she was half-sister. She was not half-sister or cousin, I have to see. But she was not his direct sister because he was the son of Ugrasena and she was the daughter of Shurasena. And they were brothers actually, so she was a cousin. But in Vedic society, cousin was so close, they called them also brothers and sisters. So this Kamsa, who is a real rascal, there was a prophecy that he will die. And he was, at that situation, he was in the prime of his youth. He was very young, and he was to be expected to be the next ruler of the kingdom. He was beautiful, he was strong, he was intelligent, in a mature way, of course. And he was great. He had a great time. Everything was good. But suddenly then came one prophecy. One day a prophecy came from the sky and told him, you will die very soon. And he was shocked. And this is the situation, the psychology of a materialist. When he hears, I will die, he is shocked, tries everything to prevent it, and he goes over, how to say, geht über Leichen. He walks over corpses. I don't know how to say in English. In German, they say, when you go over Leichen, means you do anything and anything. You will kill to save the situation. And he heard that the death will come by the 8th child of his sister. And he immediately tried everything to prevent that. He even killed all the children of his sister. And he wanted to kill then, of course, this 8th child to save himself. But this child disappeared. Even though his sister was pregnant and he had her in a cell, so there was no chance that somehow or other this child will not, be not in his hands and he can kill it. Somehow or other, we know the details of the story, but so from his point of view, the child disappeared. And he didn't know where it was gone. He just knew it's somewhere out there in the land, in the kingdom. And immediately when he heard that, he sent his friends, to some degree friends, but his dependents, who were also demons, but very powerful demons, Asuras, Daityas. Actually, about Trinavarta, it said he was a Daitya. And this word Daitya refers to the mother, the original mother of this descendants, who was Diti. Diti is the mother of the Daityas. And she has a sister, she's called Danu, and her children are the Danavas. This is why it's called Daityas and Danavas, which refers to the Asuras. Asura means a non-godly person. As we say, demons, the bad guys. So this Ditis, the Daityas, it refers to their descent. So Kamsa had many of such Asuric friends who were very powerful. They were strong, they had mystic power, they could change their form, and they did everything for their lord, who was Kamsa. Kamsa was the leader of these Asuras. So he sent them out and said, go into the land and just kill any child which was born recently. I don't know who it was, who it will be, but one of those children is said to kill me, so we now kill all of them. This is what he did. And these demons did that. So Trinavarta actually, in one sense you can say, he came by accident now to Vrindavan to do his job. He did not know that this is the boy. He just said, oh, here's another child sitting in the courtyard. Just take him up in there, throw him down, kill him. As Kamsa said. So he comes in now, this storm is going on, nobody could see anything, everyone was frightened. And as I said before, why was Mother Yashoda going into the house? Krishna sent her in to protect her, because it was very dangerous. So Trinavarta comes in, sees, oh, here sits a child, and Krishna now makes himself, so Krishna made himself heavy that she had to put him down, and he sent his mother in to be protected, because he knew Trinavarta is coming now. So Trinavarta picks up this little boy, who made himself now very light, and flew with him up in the sky. High, 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 and higher and higher. And Krishna was 1 year old. He was just a small baby. So Mother Yashoda comes out now. The storm was gone, because Trinavarta was flying through the sky. And she went to the place where Krishna was sitting, and he isn't there anymore. And now the Bhagavatam explains in detail the pitiful situation of Mother Yashoda, who was, as any mother would react in such a situation, she was completely desperate. She was completely desperate. Her child was not there anymore. There was a storm. She thought that the storm took him away. What happened? And she started crying. And she was weak. All her strength left her body, and she fell to the floor and was crying like a cow who had lost her calf. Bhagavatam says. He was crying, Krishna, Krishna. She was completely in this separation. Vipralamba. Very intense. Very intense. And now all her friends come, the gopis, the older gopis come and see her and understand what's going on and start crying. It's that their faces were covered with tears. They were wet, like they were all crying, and they were crying because Mother Yashoda was so worried. So they, as friends, they took part in her despair. They were not saying, it's okay, and everything good. No, what are you doing as a friend? You also, it's really bad, and you don't come with Bhagavad Gita says, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. Be free of all limitation, this and that. Free of anger, fear and all that. Be transcendental. No, they were empathic. And they were crying with her. And they were also crying because they also loved Krishna. They also had a relationship with Krishna. They were also very, very sad. And why? Because they didn't know that Krishna is the Lord. If they would know Krishna is the Lord, it's his pastime, no problem. He is immortal, he's powerful, has all Aishwaryas, what's the deal? But this is not Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, everyone loves Krishna as one of theirs. And the mother especially takes special, worry about him. So the beginning, Krishna's pastime in Vrindavan has 3 parts. According to his age. So the first part is called the Kumara age, is from 0 to 5. And then you have Pauganda from 5 to 10, and then you have the Kishore, or Kishore from 5 to 10. Was it Kishore? Yes. Yeah. So, and in the first part, the Bhagavatam goes more or less in a chronological way. These first 5 years are dominated by Vatsalya Rasa. That's all about Mother Yashoda. It's all about Mother Yashoda. And then when he gets of age to herd the calves actually, then he is 5 years. And then Sakya Rasa with the Gopas becomes dominant. And we get all the pastimes and stories with Krishna and the cowherd boys. And then, in the end of the Vrindavan pastime, it's all about the gopis in the Madhurya Rasa. Until he leaves Vrindavan and another chapter opens. So now Mother Yashoda, she's in complete despair. The gopis are crying. It's a very intense situation, but understandable. So in Vrindavan, nobody knows that Krishna is the Lord. They all think, Mother Yashoda thinks, he is my child. I have to take care of him. He is depending on me. He cannot live without me. Now it's terrible. Maybe I will never see him again. Maybe the storm took him wherever. I will never see him again. Intense. So in the meantime, to make it now a little bit more light, very light, Krishna is flying through the sky. And it's actually said Krishna had a good time. Yeah. And actually Trinavarta was serving him because Krishna wanted to see Vrindavan from the sky. He wanted to see how all the land looks. And right, we like to go high. On a tower, fly with a balloon, see the land from an airplane. When Prabhupada first was flying the first time, he liked it. He said, oh, this looks so small, and all the houses look like matchboxes. Yeah? The world is so small. Yeah. So it's interesting to go high. So Krishna wanted to go high, wanted to see Vrindavan from up there. But at the same time he knew now it's time for this rascal who killed so many children. So Trinavarta wanted to go higher, 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 but suddenly his advance stopped because Krishna made himself now heavy again as a baby. And he made himself so heavy that Trinavarta couldn't go higher. And he was shocked. What's going on here now? And he suddenly started to descend. He was kind of going down. And it was so intense for him that he knew, I cannot do anything. I have to get rid of this boy or I will crash. And he wanted to throw him down. But Krishna was holding his neck with his small little baby hands, holding the neck of this demon. And he couldn't get him off. He tried, go off me. And then Krishna was not just holding, but he was squeezing a bit more. He started to squeeze. And now this demon got really, worried and panicking actually. So this small baby who is weak like anything, what can a baby do? Nothing, it's so weak. Now my boy was holding the finger, right? Your finger. And you said, oh, he's so strong already, right? Of course they can grab, but still, if you would like with one finger, you are stronger than his whole hand. But still, compared, he's strong. Yeah. So compared to the advancement, so to say. But in general, what can a baby do? It's not strong. But suddenly, this powerful demon, who is really strong, has a problem with this baby. Like Putana before had the same trouble. Oh, a small baby. She didn't know that Krishna. She had some, when she saw him, there was some thought, oh, this is a special child, but still she wanted to kill him. But it was the same thing. Oh, small baby, and now you drink. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Drink, 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 drink. Ha, ha, ha. Drink, drink. And Krishna said, okay, then I drink. No problem. Sucked out your life air. And she also screamed, get off me, get off me. Ah! She was screaming. He said, no. And she was dying. So Krishna squeezed a bit more. And Trinavarta couldn't do anything. He wanted to get rid of him, but he couldn't. And now he couldn't breathe anymore. Krishna was really now. And now it gets a bit, how to say, gruesome. He was pressing so heavy he couldn't breathe. And he couldn't say a word anymore. He wanted to scream, but he could not. No sound came out. Krishna had him. And then he was kind of descending and at the same time choking. And Krishna was choking so heavy that the eyes came out of his sockets. It popped. And he was dying in mid-air. And Krishna was now flying down with this dead demon actually. And now the gopis who were taking care of Mother Yashoda, they saw in the back something big flying down and crashing on the floor. Actually it said on a big stone plate. The demon was crashing and all his limbs were now broken. Heavy. And the gopis were the first. They ran. Somehow or other they were first there, these friends of Mother Yashoda. And they saw this big demon and little baby Krishna on the chest. Not even a scratch. He had nothing. And they took Krishna immediately and gave him to Mother Yashoda, who was, of course, happy without bounds. And Nanda Maharaj came also now and everyone was happy. And at the same time, they were now very, very astonished. How can that be? They thought Krishna is, baby. This is my baby. How can that be? To fall from the sky and he has not even a scratch, nothing. And they immediately said, oh, it must have been because of our good karma. Because in the past life we built many roads and digged some wells and gave many donations. Some or other karma was protecting us now. This is how they reasoned. They were not thinking Krishna is the Lord and this and that. This was not their idea. And in the same chapter, this is the seventh chapter of the 10th canto. In the beginning you have the story of the Shakat Asura. And every demon has some quality. I forgot what was Shakat Asura. Someone know what was Shakat Asura? But Trinavarta, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that every demon corresponds to some quality or to some aspect in the spiritual life. And Trinavarta stands for the pride which comes if you study many scriptures. Then you become very proud. This is so when you have this problem, you hear this story a lot, and it helps you to get rid of this problem. Pride of becoming very learned, know many scriptures, think yourself better than others. Putana, I remember, she was standing for the wrong guru. If you want to have the right guru, but you don't know, you have to hear about this pastime. Because she was pretending to be a wonderful woman, but she was actually a demon. So the false guru pretends to give liberation, give bhakti, whatever, but actually he's a cheater, like Putana. So, but I forgot Shakatasura, what he was. Anyway, because Shakatasura, it's very interesting. He's the second demon Krishna kills. But he's not in the Bhagavatam. I was looking today in the morning and yesterday. Everyone knows the story of Shakatasura. I will tell. But he's not in the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam doesn't speak about him. The Acharyas speak about him. Prabhupada in the purport speak about him. But I couldn't find a word about this demon in the Sanskrit of the Bhagavatam. I was astonished. I didn't know that. I found out yesterday. Maybe I overlooked it. I don't say this is now the final word. Maybe everyone can look and show me, please. No, I speak about Bhagavatam. The Acharyas speak about him, maybe in other Puranas, but I couldn't find it in the Bhagavatam. Krishna book Prabhupada speaks about, yes, of course. Kavikarnapur speaks about him, all that. So anyway, it was, and it's a very interesting also. It said when Krishna was 3 months old, there was a ceremony done for him, one of the samskaras. And this ceremony is done by the mother, by the women actually. It's not done by the father. It's done by the women, by the mother. She has to do it. And this ceremony is when Krishna goes out the first time. When a child goes first time out into the world, so to say. And then there's a special ceremony. And there's a controversy amongst the acharyas, which I find very interesting. So there is room for interpretation, because one of the point is that, this is a little bit technical. The Bhagavatam just says one day this ceremony was done in the 10th canto. And Jiva Goswami says in the 2nd canto, 7th chapter, when there is a listing of the avatars, which is spoken by Brahma to Narada Muni. You have similar to the 1st canto, 3rd chapter. You have in the 2nd canto also a list of these avatars, which is actually more detailed than in the 1st canto. And there this is mentioned that Krishna, when he was 3 months old, was destroying this shakat, or a cart. It was a cart. In the 10th canto, it's not said that he was 3 months old. Just mentioned some... in the 2nd canto. So Jiva Goswami says, oh, he was 3 months old. The ceremony which was performed cannot be the ceremony for when the child goes out. Why? Because Shastra says this is done when he's 4 months old. Shastra says when the child is 4 months old, he can go out and there's a certain ceremony, samskara. But Krishna was 3 months old. And the word is utana. Utana refers to this ceremony, this moment. So Sridhar Swami, the original commentator of the Bhagavatam, says, this utana refers to when Krishna was turning around, not when he was getting out. So some acharyas go now with this. Utana refers to Krishna was just turning around and there was a ceremony done, and some say it means actually the other one. But Jiva Goswami says, no, it was when Krishna was turning around. Prabhupada, in the Bhagavatam, takes both. He says, the day when Krishna was turning around and was able to get out, the ceremony was done. Prabhupada put it together. Yeah, but actually the commentaries, Jiva Goswami goes into the Sanskrit details and says, these are two different things. But Prabhupada puts the acharyas together. He makes it more simple. So, and this ceremony was done by Mother Yashoda. She did this ceremony to celebrate Krishna's new ability. She brought all the brahmanas, and there was singing, and there was an abhishek. This is said. There was an abhishek of Krishna done by Mother Yashoda. She was bathing Krishna. And then when the whole ceremony was done, she was taking Krishna, was taking a bit, and suddenly Krishna's eyes, he became drowsy, it said. He became like, when the child becomes drowsy, and you are very happy, oh yeah. And then the eyes finally close. And then you know it's not done. Oh, no, he sleeps. No. You have to be very silent. Very silent until he falls into deep sleep. When he's in deep sleep, you can do anything. Anything! That the child is amazing. It's completely deep sleep. You can do whatever you like, you know. My boy, he falls asleep when I use the vacuum cleaner. We have a vacuum cleaner. And I have something to put him in, and I vacuum clean this monotonous sound of this vacuum cleaner, and this moving, it makes him sleep, you know. And then I thought I'd make a recording of this vacuum cleaner to play it to help him fall asleep. It's terrible sound, but some or other. But when they are asleep, they are not, you know, they are really gone. You can talk and all that. It's no problem. So anyway, Krishna became drowsy. And then he fell asleep in the arms of Mother Yashoda. Now she put him into a bed under a cart. There was some cart standing in this courtyard, and she put him there and had to go back to the Brahmanas to take care of this festival. But there were some older boys in the area to take care of Krishna, so he was not alone. And after some time, Krishna was waking up, and what he wanted to drink some milk. He was waking up and wanted some milk. No milk there! Where's the milk? Where's the milk? And what was happening? He was getting angry. Children are not so, how to say, they don't follow the etiquette so much. They just it's amazing how angry they can be. But at the same time, they are babies, so okay. I'm angry now. And then they scream. They are not introverted angry. Could be a bit easier. They scream, and they can scream so loud. You cannot. How can this small body be so loud? It's amazing. So Krishna was doing that, and normally the mother, child, awake, comes, but Mother Yashoda was not coming. How can she not come? The music of all this ceremony was so loud. It was louder than the baby. Must have been very loud then. So Krishna was screaming, nothing was happening, and then became angry, and then was kicking with his small baby legs, because this was, as we say, he was 3 or 4 months old. According to Bhagavatam, 3 months old. So he was very, very small. My boy is now 4 months, so kind of like that. Very small, very weak. But with his leg, he was kicking this shakat, this cart, which was very strong. And it said there were many, many utensils on it. Many metal pots and all kinds of stuff was on that thing. And with his small baby leg, small baby foot, baby foot, was kicking against that. And the whole thing broke apart. And it said it had some wheel on some, how's it called? Axle? How's it called? Axle. It was going disarray, and all parts, everything was a big explosion, everything fell down, and then everyone heard, oh, something was happening. This was loud, that was then louder than the Mother Yashoda heard it. And they ran there, and Krishna was lying in front of all this catastrophe, of this destruction. And again, it's always like that. Krishna kills a demon, makes something wondrous, and everyone was, what's going on? How could that happen? And again, Krishna had no scratch, nothing, even though this was heavy stuff was flying around. And the cowherd boys immediately said, because they were wondering, how could that explode more or less? Again, some demon must have attacked, or actually they thought some bad planet. The influence of some bad planet was acting, but the cowherd boys, the small boys said, no, Krishna was doing it. He was kicking against it. And he said, yeah, no, this cannot be. No, really, Krishna was kicking against it. We saw it. Said, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. Bad planet, it was a bad planet. Brahmanas, they made a yagya. So, I counteract the planet. So immediately they made a yagya. And hotra. So this is what the Bhagavatam says. And now comes this demon in. Because this demon is very, very peculiar. Because it said there was a demon in the cart. But Krishna was kicking just the cart. So what was his relevance? What did he want to do? Normally the demons come to attack Krishna. They were sent by Kamsa. But this demon is not mentioned. There is no Kamsa sending him there. And he died when Krishna kicked the cart. Complete useless demon. This is the most useless demon of the whole Bhagavatam. There was nothing with him, you were not even seeing him. He was in the cart. So it's very, very mysterious. So now, when we go a bit deeper and have some other sources, it said like that. There was once a son of Hiranyaksha. His name was Utkala or something like that. Something was you. And he offended some demigod or something. I forgot the exact detail. But he was then killed or cursed to become disembodied. He was a ghost. He was actually a ghost. And these ghostly beings, they can possess people, as we know, but they can also go inside things. And this is very interesting. They can go into unanimated things and reside there somehow or other. So it's not that when we always think about Shakat Asura, we always thought it's a demon who took the form of a cart. No, it was not that. It was just a cart standing there, and this demon was inside this cart, and Krishna killed him and liberated him. So more or less by coincidence he was there. Maybe he was using his chance, oh, Krishna can kill me, that I can get liberated from this curse or something like that. But it's not that he was sent by Kamsa. I couldn't find this place that there was some reference to that. Maybe we have to search more for the details on that. But he was killed by Krishna when Krishna kicked this cart. And that was the Shakadasura. That was it. Yeah. So he was an disembodied, unsichtbar, invisible, and completely irrelevant demon in that sense. He was not fighting Krishna. Nobody saw him. The Gopas, not even the Gopas, the small boys said, yeah, he kicked the cart, cart fell apart. Nobody saw the demon. He was no danger. It was nothing. It was just nothing. But through the acharyas, we get the information, oh, there was a demon involved with that, right? I found this very interesting. Very interesting. And he's the second demon Krishna killed. Then the third is Trinavarta. And then it goes on, Krishna kills many demons. And all these demons stand for some bad qualities and help us to overcome our anarthas, our problems in life. So, Govindadev said I should speak, so I don't know how long, but maybe if there's some question or discussion, but before that, yeah, I think it's wonderful what Prabhupada gave us, that Prabhupada gave us Krishna Leela, that we can study that, discuss that, and now in time that we get so many other informations. In the beginning, devotees had only the Krishna book, which is perfect. Prabhupada says, Krishna book is perfect. You read Krishna book, get prema, all that. But then he gave us also the Bhagavatam, which gives some other flavor of Krishna Leela. And then now in time, Prabhupada actually said a couple of times he wanted to translate everything. It's not that Prabhupada said, these are the books, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Ishupani, what he did. This is it. No, he wanted, there's actually, I think it was in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Prabhupada writes that he wants to translate Vedanta Sutra. Prabhupada wanted to translate Vedanta Sutra. But his time was very limited. He wanted to, Bhagavatam was his main thing, but then he would have gone on and on and on to present us these books. And once he had a discussion with his Sanskrit editor, his name was Pradyumna, and Prabhupada said to him, I would like to translate Bhagavad Gita. And then Pradyumna said, oh, Prabhupada, you translated already Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada said, no, there are so many Bhagavad Gitas. He meant the commentaries of the acharyas. There's Bhagavad Gita of Vishwanatha, Bharati Vidabhushan, and so on. So many, Ramanuja, Madhva, so many. He said, I want to translate them all. So in that sense, Prabhupada is very pleased when now devotees translate all these books so that we can get completely absorbed, more and more absorbed in all our knowledge, especially in Krishna Leela. And we have the commentaries of the acharyas, we have Puranas, we have so many informations. So we can study, absorb ourselves. And Prabhupada wanted ISKCON to be a Brahminical society. What are Brahmanas doing? They study. They study. Okay, not everyone is in ISKCON has this Brahminical approach, but if you have, use it. If you have the intellectual capacity, go deep, study, find details, read this and that, and get absorbed. It's not the only way to get absorbed. Krishna, as I started my lecture, we want to be absorbed in devotional service. We want to be absorbed in Krishna. Some can do it perfectly in a deity worship, which is one of the ways to get absorbed, to worship the deity, to speak the mantras, to offer, to dress, to look at the deity, to touch the deity, you can get completely absorbed. Our mind has to be in it. This is the process. Our mind has to be in it. And I think every one of you knows that we can do devotional service externally and be somewhere else. You're on the altar, you dress, but you think about all kinds of stuff. You're not there. You can even read and be not attentive. Sometimes you read and the mind wanders off. You continue reading. Some or other you kind of read, a bit of information is there, but you think about something else. Like multitasking. There are many apps open. They run at the same time. It's very interesting. How is this possible? Sometimes I read page and page and then, what have I read now? I was thinking about something else. Kind of the mind, some or other did it automatically. Somewhere in the background there was some Bhagavatam, some story about Krishna. There's three modes of material nature. Sattva probably explains something, but I'm thinking about my bookkeeping or about the shopping list or some other things. No, we have to be focused, absorbed. So in any activity we can be. So it's not about the activity actually. The activity should be a bridge towards absorption, towards the conscious activity, right? Actually, it's a bridge. And because we are so different, Krishna gives us, through devotional service, Yukta Vairagya, the Navavida Bhakti, as it's called, 9-folded devotional service, for everyone, a way how to get absorbed. Do that, what is according to your nature, do that, and do it for Krishna, do it with devotion, get absorbed. Right? So it's about absorption. We have to get absorbed. When you serve the deity, I do it for Krishna, it's the Lord, please accept this. This is absorbed. Reading, you are conscious, you understand what's going on. When you chant Hare Krishna, to hear the holy name. When you cook, it's for Krishna. All that absorption, this is what it needs. Conversion of the mind. That we become real devotees. In the mind, but actually in the heart. I'm a devotee, I love Krishna. Yes, I love Krishna. Of course I love Krishna. Krishna is wonderful. I love him. Always think about Krishna. Always think about me. Like Mother Yashoda, she was, and these are the examples. Mother Yashoda was always thinking about Krishna. Oh, where's Krishna? What can I do for him? Oh, he needs some milk. Oh, he needs this and that. I have to dress him. This, that. Yeah. The cowherd boys, they were always thinking about Krishna. Oh, when can we go out with Krishna again? What will we do today? What will we play today? Yesterday we played. We were pulling some. How is it called? When they pull some rope. Or the day, that was so much fun. What will we do today? Krishna is playing. For the boys, this is great. But of course, we are not Gopas. Only Madhurya Rasa. Actually, it's not true. Any Rasa is perfect. But sometimes we think, we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, only Radha Krishna. Which is maybe easier for the girls. Yeah. Some or other. Madhurya is easier just from our psychophysical situation. For a girl, it's easier to identify with a gopi. Definitely. And for boys, it's difficult. But it's easy for us to identify as a gopa. Whoa, let's play with Krishna, run around, fight with the other gopas, have fun. It's very easy. Of course, we understand Shastric. We are the soul, and the soul is independent of the gender. Yes. And actually our inspiration to be in some certain rati, not rasa. We always say rasa. Oh, what is the rasa? It's not rasa, it's rati. Yeah. Rati means relationship. Rasa is the taste of the relationship. Yeah. There are not 5. When you say, there are 5 rasas, this means 5 relationships. This is wrong. 5 ratis. So there are 5 ratis, relationship towards Krishna, which produce a certain rasa, or taste. In ISKCON we always say the 5 rasas means the relationship. So it's not true. Rasa means taste, right? Rasoma apsukha anteya. The taste of water. Krishna says, I am. So, how do we understand our relationship towards Krishna? Yeah, it comes by a spiritual inspiration. So it's not that we can now use our material situation in the spiritual way to work on our eternal relationship. But at least we can get into a relationship according to our situation right now to have some identification and appreciation for the Leela. but that's not necessarily then our eternal position, right? But it's still some to get more appreciation and interest in Krishna, in his Leela. It's helpful to associate with him according to that what is our liking. Yeah. So also not just in a varnashram sense, but also in a spiritual sense, meditative sense. It might be a little bit difficult for me to think, okay, Ras Leela and dancing with Krishna like a gopi. It's difficult. How to do that? It's not possible. But I would love, definitely, I would spontaneously love to play with Krishna football. And Krishna is doing that. In the Bhagavatam, there is said there was some certain fruit, which was like a ball, and they were playing soccer with this, kicking that. I don't know if they had a goal or something, but they were doing that. I'm all in it. Wow, Golokarindaving, I'm coming. Yeah, I think wow, that would be great. Or climb a tree or a mountain. I think every boy loves to climb a tree. Maybe even girls. It's just cool to climb a tree. And in spiritual world, there's no fear of falling down. And if it's no problem either. Climbing up is easy. Down is sometimes the problem. So Krishna climbs trees and all that. So hear about that. Associate with that. Like it. Love it. Have a relationship with Krishna and his Leela. Be interested. Or in Krishna's Kshatriya pastimes. And with time, all that gets purified. All the material aspects in our material tendencies, they get purified through that. And then the real thing will come out. What is our real position? What Krishna will guide us. He will guide us. He will show what he will plug out the weeds. But the main thing is to get engaged with Krishna. Right? We should be engaged with Krishna. Interested. Eager. I want to hear about Krishna. Interested. And then it will get more and more pure bhakti will develop. Yeah. That's why Prabhupada gave us all these books and this information. So, on that point I will end on this wonderful gift of Krishna, Katha. And we should just use it. And if you think, oh, love to Krishna, oh, this is so far away. No, it's very close. You can fall in love so quickly with anyone. Every one of us had this experience. Where you fall in love with someone and afterwards think, how could I fall in love with this person? Yeah. So you can fall in love very quickly with Krishna. But how do you fall in love? Even with the weirdest person. If you hang out with this person. Isn't it? Through contact, sangha, attachment develops. Actually, you know this verse, right? Dhyayato, how's it? Vishayam pungsa, sangas te shupachayate, sangat sangayate, chaiva, kamat krodo bichayate. This is the verse. And this explains how the soul falls into Maya, more or less. But Prabhupada, I recently read it. Prabhupada quotes this in regard to Krishna. Through association, you get desire. In a positive, you can see in a positive way also. The principle works there too. So, how to fall in love with Krishna? Have association with Krishna. Sangha. Unity. Association. And Krishna is very lovable, very attractive, and you naturally fall in love with Krishna. As you can fall in love with any person. Isn't it? So how is Sangha happening? Hearing about Krishna. Okay. Good. Thank you so much. Anything you want to add? Questions? Kilo Prabhu.
We have a technical question. For Chakra and Krishna's age.
Yeah.
If Krishna could go out only at the age, it is that child, the yajna to enable him to go out, something like this, is at the age of 4 months.
Yeah.
But Krishna, he was outside already. So how can he be 3 months old, like Jiva Goswami says?
Yeah, that's why Jiva Goswami brought it up. That's why Jiva Goswami brought it up and said it was not
Sorry.
this
Okay.
ceremony. It was not. He said it was not. Because he was 3 months old. It was the turning around situation, right? I have to look who said what, but as far as I know, the Gaudiyas follow in that sense Sridhar Swami, who said it was this turning around. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, so the earlier Gaudiyas, and then Vishwanatha, as far as I remember, Vishwanath was the one who said it was the leaving the house, the outing situation. So the acharyas have their different views on that situation, what was really happening. It's a technical thing, it's not in one sense a big thing, but it just shows different ways of seeing the Leela. When I read it, I was astonished to see that. But sometimes it happens, as we know, also with Viraha pastime, and probably in regards to the dissolution of after Manvantara says, this acharya says this acharya says that. Actually, not just different views, but actually opposite. And then Prabhupada says, wie dem auch sei. How's it in English?
It may be as it is.
Yeah, but there's however, yeah, there's something here says, but in German it says, wie dem auch sei. So we cannot resolve it. It's different.
Anyway.
Yeah. But what I find in general interesting in this situation, that there are so many details, right? And which we should be also interested in, right? To give the whole story more detail, to know more about it.
I think it's for the engagement, like.
Yeah, for the engagement.
Some point of attraction just to engage our mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And when we read, and this is what the acharyas were doing, they were studying the Bhagavatam, and in order to write such commentaries, you have to go really, really deep. To think about that, right? Okay, what does that mean, this mean? How does this connect to this? And how does it refer to that? And then give them then their opinion. They were completely absorbed. This was one of the ways how they were absorbed. Okay, something else? Something to add? Good. Okay. Thank you so much. So, we have a wonderful day. For what are we doing on Janmashtami? Hearing about Krishna. How to say? Wann, wenn nicht heute? Oder? Wann, wenn nicht heute? When, if not today? So, I hope everyone has his idea what he will do today, besides, of course, the official program, but there's a lot of time for your absorption. You don't eat. Most of you probably don't eat. Means you don't waste time for all these bodily things, and you can hear more, or chant more. And Krishna gives blessings that you will get deep realizations when you hear. Inside. This is what we want, right? Inside. You read it and it becomes true. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Das ist ein Privatschirmmaster, ne? So wenig devot ist. Ne? Das ist so ein Privatschirmmaster. Das ist nur so der harte Kern.
ekstatisch.